today with another video really for people taking English exams, specifically for you guys, because I know you all deal with this. When you're taking an English exam, they're always putting you or giving you time limits, okay? So timekeeping, therefore, is very, very important. You always have to keep an eye on the time. And in some exams it's more difficult than in others, like for example in the GVR section of the ECPE exam it's a little bit more tricky because you have the grammar, you've got the close, you've got the vocabulary, and you've got the reading to manage. In other exams like Edexcel, they pretty much give you 2 hours and you've got to work your way through the reading and the writing section, so you've really got to manage your time quite well. In FCE, they've put the grammar and the reading together, and this is another example of a paper where timekeeping is essential. So first of all, and it is amazing how many people don't really know how much time they've got. You should know, or your teacher should be able to tell you straight away how much time you have. I mean, obviously they're going to tell you at the start, before you start writing, they'll tell you specifically when you're going to stop and show you on the clock. But it's good to know these things before you get to the exam. Know how much time you've got to complete your writings or the readings. For example, if they give you 75 minutes for the writing, you have exactly 35 minutes or just over 35 minutes for each one. Divide your time. For the reading section, again, if you've got 3 readings and 50 minutes to do it, make sure you're splitting your time. Don't spend half an hour on one reading and then you don't have time for the others, because trust me, this is a major issue for some students, especially in exams like FCE, ECPE, where you have multiple readings to do, and some of them, at least usually one of the reading sections, is going to be a real belter. It's going to be quite difficult. And they'll spend way too long on this hard reading and then run out of time on the easier ones. So don't fall for these kind of tricks. Manage your time. And again, practice. I can't emphasize this enough. If you're taking an exam, you should be doing, I would say, at least 2 practice test books. Let's say most test books, there's 4 tests per book. So at least 8 practice tests, and I would make sure that they are to time. And the reason for this is, as I've said here, every student is different. I've had students that can do the ECPE reading in 25 minutes. Other students will need 40 minutes for this section. It really depends on you and your strengths and your weaknesses. Some students are very good at grammar and will fly through the grammar in like 10 minutes. Other students, it's their weakness, so they have to spend a lot longer on this section of the exam. And this is why you practice. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and therefore you can plan your timings accordingly. And on the exam, before you even go into the exam, you've got a plan. You know what you're going to be doing. You are prepared for that exam. Simple. There are lots of test books, lots of them for sure. And again, make sure you do, I would say, at least 2 of these, or 8 practice tests. So before the exam, and I would say at least 2 weeks, make sure all the practice you are doing is to time. And the reason for this is, let's say for example the IELTS writing, you have 1 hour to do 2 compositions. There's no point writing essays and spending 1.5 hours on them. There's no point, because in the exam you don't have 1.5 hours. In fact, you've got about 40 minutes to write that essay, and you're just going to cause yourself a lot of stress and problems. To make sure you can follow the time limits. So if you're doing IELTS writing, make sure you can write a report and an essay in 1 hour, for example. As I said here, and if you can't do that, you really need to keep on practicing until you can. Now, a lot of people out there, I know, watching this video will be doing the ECPE exam, and yes, that's really doing like a 1.5 page or a 300-word essay in 30 minutes. That's tough, and a lot of students struggle there. And again, you've just got to keep on practicing. and you'll get there. You will. But it is tough. It's tough even for me. You got to deal with it. What can I say? And mock exams, once again, doing everything to time, running through the whole thing is good. And the reason why this is good, because a lot of students out there will practice doing like a listening, and then the next day they'll do the reading, and the next day they'll do the writing. But on the actual day of the exam, that's not what happens. You go in, bam, you do the writing, then bam, you do the GVCR, then bam, you do the listening. And that is very, very tiring, especially in an exam like TOEIC. Last time I did the TOEIC exam, I was knackered after doing 100 listening questions. Before I even got to the reading, I was like, whoa, this is really tiring, listening to 100 listening dialogues. And then I had to go straight on and do the reading. Tough, because I wasn't used to it. Make sure you're used to doing all these things. Again, these things are very obvious, but a lot of students overlook them, and so do a lot of teachers, to be honest. If you do run out of time, which is inevitable, say for example in ECPE, in the very last part of the reading, you don't have time to complete that last reading, well, you know what? Yes, it's unthinkable, and you won't hear me say this very often, but in this particular case, guess. Don't leave them blank. If you leave them blank, you've definitely got it wrong. If you put something down, you never know. Especially if it's a multiple choice exam, you could get 1-2 marks that you wouldn't have got before. Yeah? So don't leave blanks. They are the ultimate evil. Trust me. Okay, so I hope this video has been very, very useful. There's more tips videos, one here to help you deal with unknown words, and let's face it, we all come across these, and how can you cope with them? Watch it, check it out. Thanks for watching, bye for now.